welcome all my honored guests to the ultimate duel with the best of the best. At my invitation, you've come to compete for the honor of suffering the final defeat. Isn't it grand what I managed to do by kidnapping those closest to you? I've taken their souls to lay on the line in a winner-take-all duel for all time. Let's play the game. I'm sure you won't know how, but watch yourselves, my foolish friends. You're all in my world now. Face up, face down, attack or defend. Face up, face down. This battle's to the end. Face up, face down. Stay on guard. Face up, face down. Play your strongest card. My arena awaits us all. I built it myself. It's just down the hall. I wish this day had come so fast. You see, I truly wanted your pain to last. Face up, face down, attack or defend. Face up, face down. This battle's to the end.
Okay, I've had my fun. We got through one verse.
Stay on guard. Face up, face down. Play your strongest.
Does my audio sound okay?
Yes, you sound great.
All right, because I'm in a brand new room that's like twice the size it used to be.
Oh, you sound perfectly all right.
All
Yes, I started the stream a little early. I was originally thinking I would just sit here and let Face Up, Face Down play all like 4 minutes. That would take us to the start time. But I only, you know, it would have been a little odd to just sit here on the please stand by. So
Would have been funny though.
I let it go for one full verse for the funny, and then I was like, okay, I've had enough of my fun.
But what about Secrets of Eternity?
That's a whole different thing. But, you know, let's play the game. I'm sure you all know how. But yeah, hi. This is Failed Portrayal. A little ahead of schedule. That's okay. We've got a little bit of fluffing around to do. Everything's unmuted. Let's actually grab the YouTube chat and scooch over there. Because I figure I would start today by talking about, you know, the very funny thing to kill a little time to see if any extra people want to shuffle in. We have our wonderful, you know, that magical time of year where the world's ban list has dropped. So they've announced what the world's format is going to be.
Oh boy.
The short version is that basically everything that is legal as of August 1st is okay. Everything after that, which includes Battles of Legend Monster Mayhem, because that's not officially out in Europe, kaput. So all the Monster Mayhem cards don't count. Obviously, everything in the OCG that's still ahead doesn't count. This includes stuff like the Dark Magician and Cyber Dragon support, etc. Also is technically relevant because the archetype we're going to talk about in full later is Mimighoul. That came out in Infinite Forbidden info about a year ago. It was July last year when that set hit. And there still hasn't been the appropriate, you know, world premiere pack in the OCG to bring them over. So you will not be able to play Mimighoul or Mitsurugi, more importantly, in the world's format.
Oh, damn.
So it's a very interesting thing. Justice Hunters is legal exactly August 1st, and I suspect that next month we'll start talking about Jush archetypes because they'll be legal, and that's a deck build pack that we haven't talked about yet. So you guys get to learn what a K9 does and what a Yummy does. And I guess we can learn about Dracotail.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Honestly, all the decks are interesting and, like, they finally done it, chat. Every single deck from a deck build pack is good. It's just that Dracotail will probably not be as meta good because we're getting Justice Hunters kind of late in the TCG. But it still will be viable, probably. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the worlds will shake out, because obviously here, Mitsu is really strong. Raizio Mitsurugi is especially strong, but there are several valid Mitsurugi variants, and none of that matters. On the other hand, the other thing that's fucking weird is Justice Hunter's not legal yet. Vanquish Soul topped Euros. They topped the European WCQ. Literally all you needed was Holly Sue, apparently. Never mind that, by the way, as a 5-axis deck, K9 Vanquish Soul is going to be very good. That is, like, one of the top meta decks in the OCG right now. So, Worlds format will be super interesting. Some people have wondered if the list would actually, like, make it so Blue Eyes Primate would win. I don't know about that. But I got the list pulled up on Wide Organization. First of all, I do appreciate that this just gives us our yearly check-in of the, 9 bajillion, as I scroll by them, vanillas that are not released in the TCG at all, therefore they are all banned. Including the original Tau the Enchanter. There are also some very funny cards that don't count. Unity, Yuja, Friendship, and Judgment of the Pharaoh were never released in Europe or Korea officially. Lots of, like, funny cards that are, like, promo cards, like the Power Pro Sisters and stuff, weren't released broadly. There's a shitload of jump promos that aren't released.
It is funny just how much of just so many random little cards just don't end up released here somewhere, so they're just never got around to printing that. Like
yeah.
I mean, it's even killed some decks before.
Mm-hmm. So far, I don't think any of these really will, but it is very funny, like I said, that, like, there's so many cards, excuse me, from, like, promos and other, like, weird sets that aren't released yet. So, like, there's a couple of Sky Striker cards which are still not released in the TCG. We still don't have Camellia and Engage Zero over here. We don't have
heard good things about. I have heard good things about the new Sky Striker stuff.
Yeah, that's, like, pretty valid. That's, like, maybe not enough to make, like, pure Striker good again, but enough that cards that are running Striker packages are putting up results in the OCG, kind of a thing. There's a lot of this little weird stuff going on. But everything out of Monster Mayhem's not released in Europe, so all of that isn't counting. I think the only one that's actually relevant there is the Gem Knight stuff that actually put up some results in the NAWCQ. Like, Gem Knight got to, like, top 4. So, completely cooked out of the meta. A decent chunk of the Magistus support that really didn't do anything. They had a couple of the new Dragon Maid stuff, but, I don't think that was crystallizing. Oh, it does mean that Enlil, Girsu, and Galatea are also out, so Orcus is probably out for Worlds. Like, it doesn't have its new support.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Tactical Tripack stuff isn't out in the TCG or Korea, so that means if any of the new Dark Magician Hero or Bikanko stuff did anything, they're not going to do it. I don't think they were putting up results, but it is one of those things of just like, no. The funny thing, though, is that this also includes all of our TCG exclusives, the world premieres. So all the Mimighouls, Aerial Eater, Necroquip Princess, those are both world premiere cards that aren't out in the TCG yet, or the OCG yet.
Yeah.
QQ Anagon, Mant-Man. Dotan, shit like that, Minimalian. But all the Mitsurugi stuff here is important. All the Odeon stuff, again, don't think that was going to put up any results, but...
Probably not. I mean, that...
Sorry, I'm clearing my throat a little. But there's
many always
stuff.
Fun seeing just... The Worlds format is always funny in just how... Never really any way to ever replicate the formats outside of, like, just like being forced to dive into that like actual banlist and pool of cards. But God, it's
because it's so many. Because like here's the actual like the cards that are just straight up forbidden as well, like actually blocking. So it seems like so far they're just hitting everything that's banned anywhere. So Maxi not legal at Worlds.
If one
Amazon
side
Archer.
has it banned, it's just not like we're just not allowing it.
That's what it looks like, because you see notations here of like both forbidden in OCG and in TCG. So you can't play Block Dragon, but you also can't play like Cannon Soldier shit or Amazoness Archer, because the OCG has all those guys banned. The OCG has Kashira Fenrir banned, so you cannot play Fenrir in the Worlds format. And just all kinds of scrolling for like just shit that's just hit. Sorry, I have to reassure myself every time, chat. Yes, True King of All Calamities still banned in both.
Yes.
He's still cooked. We don't have to worry about that. But yeah, Appo is now forbidden in both, so she's out for sure. But there are other things I think that would count in this. Interesting to see how the Nightmares shook up. Just scrolling through all this stuff. Let's see. Limited. Is there anything? Let me... okay.
Oh,
so
Triumph Deaths was listed as an additional.
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple. So
Time Seal.
Time Seal additional. That's weird that Time Seal's unlimited in both, but they're like, we don't want you to do that in Worlds.
I think it's just for the sake of we don't want to see that at Worlds. Like look. We don't mind you bringing heinous concoctions. Like we're just gonna ban a lot of random shenanigan cards.
I'm sensing a theme. So one also thing I forgot to talk about earlier was that there was yet another Konami English oopsie poopsie today, where briefly for about 4 hours the time rules changed, and then. After those several hours, the time rules immediately changed back.
What happened?
So earlier today, there was an update to the rules, which was supposed to be for both the Worlds format and for the next regional season, that basically, if your match goes to time, if it takes longer than 50 minutes, and you are not concluded with the game, both players would take a double loss. One of the big contentions was Konami did not specify whether that was a double game loss or both players would take a match loss, which was a bit of confusion. I think it was supposed to be both players lose the match, but it's not clear. And just in general, it was like really open-ended and unclear, and like obviously a lot of people were like, well, hold on a minute, doesn't this like completely fuckles like the metagame strategy, and then they changed it back immediately to go back to basically the old rules, including like the phases of play. Finish the current phase, whoever has the most life points wins. If you both have the same life points when you end the phase, play it to the rest of the turn. When the turn who ends, figure it out. You still have the same life points at the end of turn. Fuck you, play another turn. I don't know, man.
What do we say about that? Forget it.
Yeah, they just immediately like backpedaled in the official documentation, at least for regionals. I suspect because I do believe the OCG has a similar rule of just if you are in the middle of a match and you have not finished at time, that just counts as a loss for everybody. If it's not game one specifically, if it's still game one and you go to time, I think they just kill you. They shoot you into space. But yeah, so it looks like the additional forbidden cards in the world's list are stuff like Emergency Provisions, Mystic Walk, Rainbow Life, shenanigans that will give you a big increase in life, so you are incredibly unlikely to pull some kind of last-minute life gain bullshit so you win when we go to the time it around. So, like, they do that with a couple of additional limits as well. Let's see. Yeah, so they've got Time Seal limited for the sake of it. I saw another one somewhere in limits, I thought. Let's see. But they've got several bans that are out there. And then there's just a bunch of semi-limits, which is funny. But yeah, so absolutely no idea what Worlds is going to look like who's going to win. I would assume Vanquish Soul Canine at this point, because I feel like they have the least hits out of this list. But I truly do not know. So we get to watch that one with bated breath. Where's my...
Yeah, no, a lot of the unique bands, like you were saying, line up and just we just don't want to fuck with any of this. Just keep... We want to have a good, clean Worlds. No funny business. Except the funny business you can do with anything else.
Yes,
if you play around with solitaire bullshit, who cares? But no life.
We don't care if you don't play Yu-Gi-Oh. If you do or do not play Yu-Gi-Oh. We do care if you play against the time rules. Basically, don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting block of angle shooting they're cutting out.
Yeah. Anything else? What the fuck ever.
So yeah, we'll have to see how it shakes out. There is one thing that is a little like ick, but hasn't really gone anywhere. Apparently, it seems like the big Master Duel update they're doing is that they're including what they're calling anyway, an AI-generated commentary. If you are spectating Worlds matches for Master Duel, because Master Duel Worlds takes place at the same time, if you don't have live commentary from the studio, you will be able to get a computer to say the commentary. I don't know how that's gonna work. I assume it's kind of like how the announcers in Uma Musume work, where it's just a bunch of pre-scripted lines that the computer strings together.
I also think about Street Fighter 6 actually has, I think, AI commentary, but they're pre-made tracks of stuff, so I think it automatically plays certain sound clips depending on what happens. But
yeah,
I assume
so I don't.
Sega's way better at organizing.
I don't know how that's gonna work out. Nobody seems really enthused about this. But we'll see.
It's like a checklist kind of thing. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of... Honestly, I've talked about it before, though not always with the current collection of crewmates we have here. But these days, I feel like Konami, especially Konami of America, but generally the Yu-Gi-Oh! Division of Konami, has really struggled with, whatever the fuck they think they're doing behind closed doors and then what the people outside see. There's, it seems like we're continuing to try and do away with Time Wizard as it was, but now we've switched to, intimidating OTSs behind closed doors to stop running Time Wizard, or, saying they will stop prize support for Time Wizard. Which I don't understand. I mean, I guess I kind of understand the business side of prize support.
It feels like a thing of, they're kind of bleeding players, I guess.
I think that has been true for a while. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a really weird spot where, in English, there is an onboarding problem. It's been often talked about that there is a problem getting new players into the current advanced format. There's a little bit of a pricing problem where, cards in the secondary market can shoot up way high in price, but also Yu-Gi-Oh! Sets themselves, don't retain their value, so it sucks for vendors to use them. And so I think there is a case of they have gone up and down in players. I don't know. The thing I've said before is I was thinking that maybe the reason why they were after Time Wizard specifically was they're trying to specifically kill Edison because I think what Konami wanted you to do was to play a bunch of retro formats, and then everybody uses it to play exactly Edison. Like it's literally the triangle format. Like the Ultimate Time Wizard has three Time Wizard formats. The only two that are ever locked in is Goat and Edison, which is like, yeah, that's kind of retro Yu-Gi-Oh. That doesn't, have like a great line to transition to Advance, but it is also very popular. So I don't know, like, if they're ending prize support, if the idea is like, well, why are we giving away free prize support to these people who are not, to us anyway, playing the game and supporting our products? And it is kind of like, I don't know, the content side of the Yu-Gi-Oh community talks a big game, and I don't think they can necessarily be said to speak for the entire consumer base. I do know that people have kind of commented that, like, apparently basically everybody, in the Americas who was in the contentosphere was, like, at Nats. Like, it was like, literally everybody showed up to Nats. And not necessarily a lot of people who you didn't know, sort of a thing. Which can mean a lot, but I don't know if, like I said, that reflects on, like, general consumers, right? Because, like, people like retro formats. They like packs designed to do retro cards, but also every time Konami announces a, like, retro pack reprint thing, people are upset online. I hear people complaining that, Retro Pack 2 is like, oh, cool, there's a couple of cool Edison reprints in here. Anyway, this is useless for Advanced. This isn't going to make the price of Triple Tack or whatever meta deck is important go down. And it's like, I feel like right now we have a problem where Konami doesn't know what to do with the customers because the customers don't know what they want. People say, we want retro prints. And then people go, no, we didn't want those retro prints. How dare you?
I think there's a lot of just kind of kerfuffle about a lot of just like reprints, like which ones to do, because is the problem of a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, like any game with any player base, the bigger it gets, it's going to be impossible to please everybody. Like, no matter which side you cater to, there's going to be probably 3 other sides that are pissed off at your choice. So no matter what you do, you're screwed. So I think Konami is just trying to find the most profitable side to cater to, if we're being honest, because that's just how they do.
Like, personally, I would probably, for a game like a trading card game, I would aim for trying to appeal to the larger segment of the audience necessarily than just profit. If you got a big audience, you get more profit. But if they're making moves to keep paying the bills, that's not necessarily wrong for them. It will be interesting to see, like, where this thing's look in a few years, especially because I think that as a super accessible, free-to-play digital simulator, like, Master Duel has many of its own foibles. Many parts of Master Duel, mostly related to the card pool and the fact that I think they still have some of the most limp-wristed ban lists I've ever seen out of something calling itself a Forbidden and Limited list sometimes. They've literally had months where they're just like, no changes, and I'm just like, really? No changes? Huh? You don't think there's anything wrong with this format? No, Maxi, by the way, I think has gone to 96% usage currently.
Oh!
Yeah, crazy, right? Lancia is also, like, instantly, like, 80% usage because they released Malice last month. The ban list indicates they are probably doing, because they're going to ban in the August list, they're going to ban Abyss Dweller and a couple of other cards. It's probably Ryzeal next month. So, the Master Duel is, like, meta is going to go through a time, but, they launch new events, they try out some stuff. A lot of people have been curious if, because they've really been, like, Time Wizard is blown up and they tried to switch it to time travel, if, like, you're going to get permanent time travel rooms or ladders in Master Duel. I don't know if Konami conceives of time travel the way that the player base conceives of time travel, which, once again, I want to reiterate, is just Edison. You only ever hear people talk about Edison format. So, like, I don't think Konami cares about Edison as much as the players care about Edison.
Edison somewhat, like, solved?
In a sense, but also it's less solved than GOAT. Edison is popular because it was literally like a weekend, but it's got a pretty diverse format. There's probably, like, I want to say, like, half a dozen to 10, like, competitive viable decks, and then a shitload of rogue viable decks, and the thing is, all of them are fan favorites. You've got Dragon Goop. You've got, assorted Synchro Slop decks. You've got Monarchs. You can play Blackwings. You can play Lightsworns. There's a variety of like, big, famous deck names, which are arguably not relevant right now in Advanced, though Lord knows right now we're really, really trying to cash in on that 5Ds nostalgia. Guys, they've made Black Rose Dragon a plant.
They're really trying. They're trying so badly.
Yeah, they already did, like, Red Dragon Archfiend support. They announced a fucking Yusei deck. They're apparently, like, doing the TCG is apparently bundling, all the new Black Rose stuff that the OCG is coming out with and all of the Black Wing stuff over the past couple of years into structure decks as well. We're really, really trying to bring that in. Arguably, all the, like, generic synchro stuff, like the teleporter cards and, like, Psychic Overdrive guy and stuff like that, that's all getting a bunch of, like, generic psychic support over the past couple of sets as well. We're like, I think we're, like, hip deep in the 5Ds nostalgia train. We're really trying to swerve the market in. So I don't know if it's going to work or not. But it's really interesting.
It's because they had people look up, like, if you look up Yu-Gi-Oh! In, like, YouTube, it's, like, a lot of 5Ds, but it's also essays about people being, like, people say, like, 5Ds is when Yu-Gi-Oh! Peaked to most people.
It is true that I think that, like, some of it has to do with the nostalgic factor. Also, Marth's saying in chat, it's apparently I was a little low. It's going up to close to 90% for Lancia, which is crazy, by the way. Main decking Lancia at 90%.
Yeah, that's crazy, but I love it.
I mean, hey, it's a card that. So the funny thing is, Lancia doesn't necessarily auto-kill Malice. It really depends. If they're holding a grip of nothing but monsters and they can't banish cards, they're probably cooked. I actually, despite the fact that the deck is like 8 Ultras, I did actually build full power Malice in Master Duel over the past month, and I've played it a little. It's an interesting deck. It's a very strong advantage engine. It's really, I want to say, slippery. It's a slippery deck, because it has a lot of very interesting interactions, and a couple of its interactions are kind of, like, almost uninteractable. Like, they literally have one of their link monsters is like, hey, if this card's pointing to a Malice monster, your opponent cannot activate effects in response to this, and this effect is a non-targeting banish once per turn. Shuffle back a banished Malice card, banish a card on the field. So, like, they have, like, really, like, low-to-the-ground precision, like, interaction that can be very spicy. But also, the deck is just, like, just kind of robust. It's not quite to, like, I think, like, the Ryziel meta is going to be very interesting if that is indeed what's dropping next month, of just, like, all right, I'm going to make 4,000 rank 4s. Detonator, you're dead.
Continue.
What's that? You're doing something? Pop. What's that? You did another thing? Another pop.
Just died. You died.
And most Yu-Gi-Oh players go, well, you've popped my 2 starters. I'm dead. I've died. Please send help. This is why I think it'll be really interesting, and we might talk about K9 first, actually, if we're talking about Justice Hunter decks. As funny as Yummy is in concept, K9's another one of those decks where Konami, I think, went in the tank and cooked, and it's a deck that has a little bit of what people call turn 0 play. Like, you get to play going second on your opponent's first turn. You get to do a few things, which I think is really interesting. I wish more decks were like that and less reliant on jamming the ISO mandated 10 to 15 hand traps. Mostly because as a person, I am the unluckiest son of a bitch in the world, and every time I go first, I will open a Balatro hand of just all hand traps, and it sucks. It really sucks. I don't like doing it. They do nothing. This, like I said, I've bell curved on hand traps. I hate hand traps again. When I first got back into Yu-Gi-Oh, I was super casual. I hated hand traps because they were annoying for casual decks. Then I'm like, okay, no, I understand. I understand to use them. Now I'm back to hating hand traps because I'm like, God, I really wish I could just play Yu-Gi-Oh right now. It sucks that I have to fuck with the probabilities of my deck to play mandatory going second cards that when I go second, I'm not going to fucking see. I'm going to open my grip and I'm going to be staring at 4 Mimighouls looking at me. Funny. Because, yes, actually, I have experience with Mimighoul. I built this deck in Master Duel. So let's show some cards on screen. Mimighoul is one of those decks. So this is a World Premiere archetype, a TCG exclusive, as I used to call them. Hasn't dropped in the OCG yet. Came out in a couple waves about a year ago, like I said earlier. Mimighoul is really interesting because it is a deck that probably had legs, but was a little beat out by the fact that it came out in July of last year, which was still super ultra peak Year of Fire format. Everything was Snake Eyes and Snake Eyes accessories. And Mimighoul doesn't really have enough gas with the current number of cards and the fact that it is mostly a... Your extra deck plays are mostly rank 1s. That is not quite a diverse enough pool to really get at people the way that like Snake Eyes does. But it had a little bit of success. It topped a few regionals. It got some cuts. I'm sure since it's going to be released to the OCG later this year in a month or two, I believe, is usually what the schedule is for that, like September-ish, maybe October-ish at the latest. They'll probably cram a couple of extra cards that'll make this like super appealing to OCG players, so, you know, we might pop off. But it's a really interesting one. And it was the case of, like, everybody looked at it and was like, okay, this will be good if it gets a good second wave of support, and then people were a little worried because they read Charm. And then the actual rest of them came out and they're like, oh, this was actually a decent level of support. Not quite as overtuned as Mitsurugi is now. That was a straight-up wave 1 that was valid, and then they released a second wave, and it was like, oh, wow, this is even better. But Mimighoul had some gas. If you do not know, if you are not reading your Mimighoul... Oh, I should also, yes, Chad brought up Mimighoul Ninja. Also, yes, very funny. So Mimighoul is a flip deck. It is a deck composed of, like, 90% flip monsters. You have, like, one big non-flip centerpiece and a couple of Xyzs in the extra. The main thing you're going to see when we start talking about these monsters is Mimighouls are very unique because they usually have a couple of effects. The first is almost all of them, actually I think literally all of them except Master, have the ability to special summon them to your opponent's field face down. They go to your opponent's field. And then when they flip, every flip monster does something, usually bad for your opponent, and then returns to your control. A couple of Mimighouls, mostly the second wave of support, also have conditions where they can special summon themselves face up to your field if your opponent has something going on. Like, they have a face-down monster, they have more cards than you, if you control a face-up Mimighoul, etc. So basically, you give your opponent a bunch of filled zones and flip monsters, which they cannot link into, and if they flip them, because almost all of their effects only proc during the main phase, they get punished, basically. So it's a deck full of mimics.
I adore this deck, mostly because I've been constantly threatening one of my friends to try to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they introduced this archetype into the game.
Yeah, because they're mimic themed.
They're little mimic guys. They look like little treasure chests, and when you open them up, monsters pop out. Which is
they're adorable.
They do a very good job of making that make sense as an effect too. While they're face down, they could be anything, and then your opponent flips them face up, and you're like, oh shit, turn into a monster. So they are very interesting about that. That means that they get a little bit of adjacent flip support, and because they have ways to give your opponent flip monsters, there are some very funny interactions I've seen. If you want to play Mimighoul very sweaty, you want to play stuff like Summoning Curse or Fire Princess, which are super old cards. Summoning Curse is a continuous spell card that says when a monster is special summoned, its controller banishes a card from their hand. Mandatory. So if you just have a grip of Summoning Curse and 4 Mimighouls, your opponent loses 4 cards. Fire Princess is the other way to do that even faster. She is a flip monster that says banish 2 cards from your hand to dome your opponent for like 800 or 1k or something. So you just give your opponent Flame Sorceress, and it's a mandatory effect, which you can flip up. I don't play the hand rip stuff because it's like, it's really cool if they're in your deck. Those are Flame Princess is a fucking Garnet. You don't really have a good way if she's in your hand to give her over to your opponent. There's a couple of tricks for it, but yeah.
I think it's a cute strategy, but there's nothing really much. There's not much to it.
Like, I would argue you're probably better off, especially because you have some decent graveyard recovery, you're better off running Morphing Jars for the Mems if you want to do that strat. But that said, like I said, it is a deck that involves, like I said, 90% flip monsters, so there is something to be said for your ability to actually, utilize stuff. People have brought up, this was actually on previous week's episode of Dual Tainting, somebody showed up with a Mimighoul Ninja, which has some very interesting interactions. You can play Ghost Trick Mimighoul if you want. Do some very interesting things with that. And basically anything that is vaguely aligned. Also, I should bring up, all the Mimighouls are Earth. So first of all, they're valid with Vernus Elves and any other Earth lockouts. You can play the appropriate Dominus card. You can, and I do in Master Duel, play the couple of Keshtiras as just really annoying guys. So, there's a lot out there. Also, just another very, very funny thing. When their effects activate, they count as your opponent activating that effect, even though they're mandatory. That means that if you can force them to flip on your turn, activating your own Mimighoul monsters on your opponent's board makes both triple tactics live. So, it's a very funny, tricksy deck. It can be a little floodgatey, but it has a lot of, very funny potential. I feel like Mimighoul is only a floodgate deck if your opponent chooses to play into your floodgates, basically. So let's talk about their field spell. It's been on screen for a little bit. Mimighoul Dungeon. This is another one case where the field spell kind of makes the deck. You can just block up all 5 of your opponent's zones with set Mimighouls, but it's a lot funnier if you play Dungeon. So Dungeon, first of all, says, Mimighoul monsters you control that were not normal or special summoned this turn gain attack equal to their original defense. Guess what? Normally your Mimighouls are weenies. This usually gives them huge attack, for level 1s especially. Any player who controls a face-down monster cannot normal summon monsters or declare an attack with monsters that were special summoned this turn. So you can't normal if you have a set monster, and you cannot, your special summon monsters basically have summoning sickness. They can't attack. During your main phase, you can add a Mimighoul from your deck or graveyard to hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So Dungeon is technically a floodgate, but in the sense that it's only a floodgate while your opponent has face-downs. So they can either, just flip up your monsters and suck it up, which, depending on what you have set, doesn't necessarily impact them, but can impact them. I've actually seen people very correctly flip up my Mimighoul monsters in the right order, so that they basically had an unlettered combo going off. They cleared all the monsters off the board and were free. They used up all my interaction, basically. So, it's not a complete lockout, but it is just a little bit annoying. Just a little bit frustrating. And obviously, if people played fucking spot removal for spells, that wouldn't be a problem. But people just want to special summon monsters. Summon monsters, go burr. Oh no, your monsters are all face down. You can't link 2 of them off into Nightmare Phoenix and Pop a Spell. Oh no.
Oh no.
So I think they've done a pretty good job of actually playing to the strengths of the interaction. And like I said, the floodgate effect is just one of the effects of Dungeon. The other 2 things that Dungeon do is very important. This is an additional searcher to add from graveyard or deck to hand, and also that effect where they add their defense to their original defense to their attack Very important. That's how you win the game, because you will actually OTK a lot with Mimighoul. How? Well, let's find out together, chat.
Quite simple.
We're going to begin with the big guy. He's got an animation in Master Duel. I feel like there should be some sort of, like meme rap I should make about him. But it's the Mimighoul Master. He's the master of the dungeon. This is your basically only non-flip, non-level 1 monster. And he's a pretty baller skeleton. He's got a big crown. He's got a little key staff. He's got a big coat. He's got a beard.
I'm liking the it's a lot of the purples and greens are kind of vibing really well here. His like staff has the key in it.
Yeah, that's another thing I should say with this arc style. Very poppy, very bright colors.
It's very poppy. It makes you think of like promotional art pages in like Tonkobon books.
Mm-hmm. Because it has kind of like that very, I'm gonna say comic, but I mean that as in the art medium, not comedic. Has that kind of very comic effect with like the star spots or diamonds patterns, so you can like see the special effects like the stars and clouds. And obviously, well, I don't think that would have gone awry. I do want to say that, like, this was, I want to say, like, 6 months after Ashened, which was, like, very much like, ooh, look at our cool Dark Souls-inspired archetype. We have a big dragon, and we have guys who are on fire. And I think that Ashen has a very strong, like, aesthetic identity. I do kind of feel like they could have gone that route, but we did not. We have a very, like, classical cartoony mimic look. This looks like, like many of these monsters look like they'd be at home in like Dragon Quest or something.
Dragon Quest or I
do like, he has
Dragon
multiple keyholes and stuff like that. He's just big chillin'. So Mimighoul Master is a level 4 Earth zombie, 1800 attack, 1200 defense. That means that if you're using Dungeon's effect the turn that he wasn't summoned, he is 3k. He is very large. Also, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while your opponent controls any face-down monsters, or you control a Mimighoul monster other than Master. World's most unoutable man. It's very funny. I have actually seen opponents try and, like, Lightning Storm or Raigeki, my sole Mimighoul Master, while they've got, like, face-downs, and I've just gone, cool.
All right.
Interesting. This isn't gonna go the way you think, Chief. And then he has following effects which you can only use once per turn. If he's normal or special, add a Mimighoul monster from your deck to hand, except Master. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, change a face-down monster on the field to face-up attack or defense position. So Master is not your starter necessarily, but is one of your key interaction pieces. You usually want to be summoning him on your turn ahead of time. He adds another Mimighoul to give you some ammo, so he can be your starter that way. The main thing, though, is during your opponent's main phase, he has a quick effect to flip up a monster face down. So this lets you proactively flip your Mimighouls on your opponent's board so you can proc their effects on command, which can be pretty important to actually set up the funny haha disruptions. But Master's a pretty critical piece, but he's interesting enough that the way this deck works is, you have actually several ways to get this guy out. So this is the, like, only ultra rare, I think, in the deck in Master Duel is Master. You don't even need to run 3 of him. If you wanted to be safe, you could probably run 2 just in case your opponent, like, banishes one of them. This deck has no inherent banish recovery, really. So if your boys get got, they get sent to the different dimension. You're a little cooked. But you can truly get away with just running 1 Master. If, for instance, you're thinking about budget decks in Master Duel. So he's a very solid guy. Also, you'll notice, especially once we also talk about the next card, The Mimighouls, like I said, are all Earth attribute, but they are all a whole bunch of different types. They are one of those decks, which I always find very cute.
You know, a lot of Mimighouls art is great. Their effects are just kind of just really kooky. A lot of it's just very silly play.
Yes. Speaking of which, this is one of them. This is one of your starters that also has one of your honestly very funny effects. This is Mimighoul Archfiend. Spoilers: he's a fiend.
So, I guess it'll be Damon's Mimighoul or something. Something.
Yes.
Or
the OCG has actually, I think, said what the Mimighoul will be called. It's just Mimighoul. So it's Mimighoul, but with like less vowels.
Yeah.
And this guy is going to be officially, when he's released, Mimighoul Daemon. So
nice.
He is, by the way, officially a full-blown Archfiend / Daemon card, if there was ever any Edge synergy that comes up, and he is an Earth Fiend. And he's just a little guy.
Just a little guy.
You know, he's bursting out of his chains. He's popping out of the chest. He looks like he has a lot of items that are in the chest, but they all look cursed. You thought you were going to get a cool drop, and just, nope.
Nothing here looks good.
There's a weird little skull necklace that's crying. There's a weird little dragon pin with an eyeball. Some of these things I don't even know what the fuck they are. They're just like pointy clawed shapes. I think the least offensive thing is he's got like a little like candle staff thing.
He's got a like bangle too, like right next to that staff.
Yeah. But even that has like a little skull face on it, so you're like, huh.
That's fine.
This little ring is pretty inoffensive, other than that it's got a mysteriously kind of, bluish purplish gem in it. That's nothing. But yeah, I mentioned before, Archfiend's one of your starters. First of all, this is a, like I said, Earth Fiend flip, level 1, like most of their monsters. He is 0 attack, 1900 defense, so he becomes a 1900 attacker when Dungeon is up. Again, very, very strong stats if you're willing to wait around. Flip. If it's the main phase, apply these effects in sequence. This is very important. 1, your opponent draws a card. That means you, the owner of Mimighoul Archfiend, draw a card. 2, you send 1 card from your hand to your graveyard. Once again, that means your opponent sends a card from their hand to the graveyard. 3, give control of this card to your opponent. So his mimic effect when he flips is you get to draw a card, your opponent loses a card. Simple as. Also, you get him back. During your main phase, you can special summon this card to your opponent's field and face down defense position. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can change one face down monster to face up attacker defense position. You can use each effect once per turn. So this is the other reason why Archfiend is a starter, basically. If you have Archfiend and any other Mimighoul, you can normal Archfiend to have the face down Mimighoul proc its effect, or you can also set Archfiend to basically go +2. Actually, technically... Well, no, you've already summoned it, so it's one of those cases of, like, I don't think you can... You could argue, like, +3, because you still have him on your board now, but you already summoned him out of your hand. But basically, your opponent goes down a card, you go up a card. And it explicitly says send a graveyard, so, like, your opponent, if they're playing Dark Worlds, doesn't get to laugh at you. But yeah, all around, very good card, good starter, very solid art. He's just, like I said, just a little impy guy.
Yeah, just keep bounce it around, take it out, put it back on. These guys just have a little knack of jumping around.
Yeah, and Archfiend, I think I would say, is like one of the essential 3-ofs in the deck because his flip effect is good and his on summon effect is good. You want to run into some Archfiends. Not that this deck has a problem with searching, as people will see when we get to their extra deck and their spell traps. And you've already seen Dungeon and Mimighoul Master already also each search a Mimighoul name. So, like, this deck has no problem getting the Mimighouls you need. If anything, I would say that is the deck's #1 problem that I'm interested to see what the OCG does, is just you only have, like, exactly, like, 7 names. Yeah, there's 6 level 1s and then Master. So, like, there's a couple of the guys who aren't the best. They aren't the greatest cards in the world. So, you play a couple of guys as like one-offs. If we got some more interesting names, we might do some interesting stuff. I believe our next card was in the second wave of support, but is one of the fairly decent ones. It's Mimighoul Armor.
You know, like we keep saying, like the blocky comic style works. Like you can see the little motion of this thing jumping out at you.
Yeah, he's got a little speed lines. He's got a couple of action stars, couple of little dust clouds. They've drawn it so that the lance point is forward.
It's going to give you a little poke with that thing. He's only got 600 attack. It's not gonna kill you. Probably.
Yes, only 600.
He's just been waiting all day to do this.
It's only 600 attack points.
Mere 600. So Mimighoul Armor is a warrior. He is the warrior entry in the deck. He has 600 attack and 1500 defense. This means that under dungeon he's 21. So you thought Archfiend was pretty good at 1900. No, actually, several of the guys are bigger than him. Armor is a little bit more of a niche piece, but as I think something you can argue that you're absolutely not shaving him, because his flip effect is, if it's the main phase, apply these effects in sequence. 1, or bullet point number 1, I should say. This turn, Mimighoul monsters can't be destroyed by battle. Give control of this card to your opponent. During your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's field face down, or if your opponent controls a monster, special summon this card face up to your field. You're going to use each effect once per turn. So Armor is one of those cards that, like I said, has the ability to be special summoned to your board, which is important. You do have extra deck plays in this deck. You have Xyz you can make. And also there are, a handful of Link 2s you can run in this. Like, you can always IP Masquerena climb. You can, go for also the Earth Charmer Link. Obviously, you can SP Little Knight. There's room for Links and rank 1s in here. But also, I do think his flip effect is decent.
Oh, yeah. Just being able to set up a quick protection is handy.
And I think it sets up the number one thing that, like, the thing that I think a lot of your opponent is going to think is just, well, I'll just flip all these over, give them all to my opponent, and run them over. And Armor is like, no, you will not be running me over today, sir.
Yeah, it's a nice workaround, actually, of taking the, like, applying to both monsters effects, kind of these, like, with intention, where it's like it's making all Mimighouls. So even though there might be some on left in the opponent's board that won't be destroyed, that still means they're gonna come back to you. So you can't just can't get rid of them. Just screw you.
Yeah. And then obviously obviously this gives you a going second play if you can special summon this guy if your opponent controls monsters. But more importantly, also, you give your opponent monsters. So if it's turn 1, you just give them a face down, and then you're like, cool, I can now special summon Armor face up to my field, so I can use him as materials.
Yippee.
And now, very good art, but sadly one of the cards that is probably not the greatest. Mimighoul Cerberus. I should double check.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they do the hard C. So the Japanese is very good at teaching it. It's technically written there as Mimighoul Cerberus.
Cerberus.
So Cerberus here is the Beast entry. 1 star, obviously, like I said. 400 attack, 1800 defense. So, okay defense, Archfiend and Cerberus are both decent blockers. Like, your opponent can't summon something little and just beat them over. Armor, obviously, is not as much, but also Armor literally has a flip effect where it gets battle protection, so he doesn't fucking care.
What is the dog doing?
I'll find out what the dog's doing in a second. Right now, the dog's jumping out of this this chest, and honestly, looks pretty good. We're almost doing the King Ghidorah meme. Like, we have two serious heads, and then the third one, the one on the right here, looks a little goofier. Just like, hey.
It's got extra eyelashes, meaning it's a female, maybe. I don't know.
But yes, Kerberos is popping out. Again, got your little speed lines, got your little cartoon stars. Got these little, like, chain-attached paws to the chest, which is very cute.
Yeah, no, this look is just great. Like, there's not much.
Great use of colors.
Yeah, like just there's not much to say about these cards aside from they're just good. Like it's just gushing over how good they look.
Yeah, I know we call this fail Portrayal, but this is a very strong palette cleanse of like, no, these cards are just well designed. Like, arguably, Kerberos is probably the worst, I would say, monster, and even then, it's not like awful. So first of all, it's the 1800 defense means that if you proc Dungeons effect, you're 22, which is again very decent stats. And its effect is when flipped, apply these in order, banish the top 3 cards of your deck, then special summon one of your banished monsters opponent field in defense position. Honestly, I think Mimighoul will be really good. They have a couple of effects like this. If these were Maze. But still, banish 3 from the top of your opponent's deck, and one of their monsters is now your monster.
Mine.
Could be worse. Obviously, they're going to pick to give you probably their shittiest monster. But it definitely can be disruptive to plays. I think giving control to your opponent is probably one of the ways that, like, you know, does fuck with this. It's a shame all the Mimighouls are Earth, so you're probably not going to be able to do Mimighoul Hackathon Kiers. Another deck build pack archetype they're showing off. That's a bunch of light and dark illusions that are all about stealing your opponent's cards.
Oh, I haven't heard about these.
Yeah, they just got previewed a couple weeks ago. They're pretty interesting. They're illusions, so I will probably try and make them work because I am... If illusion type has 1 fan, it's me. If the illusion type has 0 fans, I'm dead. But definitely, like, got some interesting things going on there. And I think has synergy with like, Nightmare Magician also has, like, a weird stealing effect. So I think that, like, Nightmare Apprentice and Nightmare Magician will slot into that deck as well. But I don't think it really works out. But yeah, banish 3, steal 1 can be very useful. Obviously, if it can't be special summoned for whatever reason, you know, it does just fizzle. And what we've seen with Runic is that slicing a few cards off the top of your opponent's deck can be very annoying. Not usually enough to be a win con, but definitely enough to be a disruption.
I've lost to it many a times, though.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you can't guarantee will work every time, but ripping 3 is not 0. And like I said, you did get a material, and this deck can play quite a few generic links. Like, you are probably playing, you know, some of your Charmers, like at least Ausa and stuff, so you can, you know, you might already do a little stealing. I don't think you can, unless you're playing multiple Kerberos, which I cannot advise, even with really all this talking of it. You could hypothetically do that, or just recycle Cerberus and get 2 monsters your opponent owns and, like, overlay into, like, Zombie Vampire or something stupid. I don't recommend it, but, like, you can try and do goofy things. And like
that's
I said,
like the side deck option. That's just weird.
Kerberos is probably the worst one, especially because its other effect is so you can, during your main phase, you can just special summon it from your hand to your opponent's field face down. If it is face up on your board, your opponent can target face up spells you control with card effects. So it does eliminate the problem I talked about earlier of, like, oh, your opponent can just, you know, if they're playing MST or Cosmic Cyclone, they can just pop your dungeon. Kerberos does protect against that. Again, at least in Master Duel, the number of people I've run into who actually play, like, single target spell trap hate is so slim that Kerberos is, like, effect for you basically is usually a non-factor. Like, if they are playing spell trap removal, it's usually on mass stuff like Lightning Storm or Feather Duster. But your field spell is really important, so I appreciate that the Konami foresaw this and built in the tech against it. Like, if you're playing TCG, best of 3 type stuff, you'd probably tuck a couple extra Cerberuses, a couple extra Kerberoi into your side deck just in case your opponent runs targeted hate.
Why not?
But it's not a very, very strong contender. And it has at least decent stats to make up for it. Next, though, along with Archfiend, we're going to talk about one of your all-stars. Again, one of the guaranteed 3-ofs. Armor and Kerberos are both edge cases. Like I said, I think you play at least one of each of them because they are names. And this, like I said, this deck searches names like nobody's business. So, you know, having extra names you can keep playing is pretty good. But Mimighoul Dragon is another one of your absolute all-stars. And art-wise, obviously, he's just, you know, some sort of dragon.
Why not?
Honestly, very, like, old-school Yu-Gi-Oh! Type of dragon. Like, he's got a very blocky, muscly body.
He's not slender.
Little wings. He's breathing some fire. It's, you know, he means business. Again, pretty. They're very bright, but, you know, very striking color schemes add to kind of that cartooniness. And Mimighoul Dragon, like I said, is one of your all-stars because, first of all, he's one of your biggest boys. Mimighoul Dragon is a 500 attack, 2k defense. So it's a 2k defender level 1. And also, if Dungeon's effect is in effect, this guy has 2500.
Yep.
Oh.
Because they get to add
Just
their
a big
original
asshole.
defense to their attack. So he becomes a very large boy. He is a dragon, if that does, again, actually matter. He's actually dragon type.
Sure can do something with an Earth Dragon, I'm sure.
Yeah. And his flip effect is very simple. Destroy all face-up monsters you control except Mimighouls. So, if you do have to flip him on your own turn, you're probably safe so long as you're not using your generic extra deck stuff. But also, this is usually a board wipe for your opponent. You know, your opponent starts special summoning monsters. You can go Mimighoul Master, flip this, blow up their board.
Get fucked, asshole.
And then you
Bye-bye.
give control this to your opponent. Obviously, it has the effect during your main phase. You can special summon it to your opponent's field. But also, if he's normal or special summoned, add a Mimighoul spell trap from your deck to your hand. That's right, this is your spell trap searcher. This guy gets you the field spell. If you've already got the field spell, he gets you other things. So already we've seen, you know, we're on our fourth flip monster, our fifth guy overall. Master searches any monster on summon. Archfiend draws you a card and makes your opponent discard a card. Armor is protection. Kerberos does a funny little banish and steal. And Dragon is your spell trap searcher. And obviously, if a normal summon, and if he, you know, goes out there, he pops. So Armor and Kerberos are kind of protective. Dragon and Archfiend are kind of advancing your game state a little. So, again, very solid cards. So, again, I would say that Dragon is the other card I would absolutely run 3 of in this deck. And actually, our next one, assuming nobody has anything else to say about Dragon's art, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Not much. I mean, it's
just fun.
Again, like, the way these things just kind of pop out of the chests is just drawn really well, honestly.
I gotta go and see you guys.
Okay. See you later, X.
Bye.
See you.
Well, you know, let's move on to a Mimighoul Fairy then. A card which I am sure chat will be completely normal about.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if chat will remember the memes or not.
People can be normal.
But, Mimighoul Fairy is a fairy. She's very pink.
Sorry, at first I thought she was slime, and I thought of that dumb meme, or was it?
No,
yes,
Mimighoul
I
Slime's
am
another
fucking
card.
jelly.
That is a very funny meme, but no, Slime's another card. She is kind of, despite being Mimighoul Fairy, she is kind of drawn like a cartoon ghost or slime girl, though.
Look at her hands!
She has large hands, but with very, like, classic, I want to say, like, Cartoon Network blocky fingers.
I was thinking panty and stocking.
That is also another good art style that matters. But obviously, Panty and Stocking is, like, aping American animation.
Yeah.
But, you know, she's got a cute little dress. She's got little wings, you know, a little bow. Surely nothing bad will happen when you open this chest.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Dead.
Well, there was a joke about what to hand you. Mimighoul Fairy is actually an Earth Fairy. So there are plenty of cards that involve Earth Fairies. Again, don't know if there's any specific synergies you could do with Fairy, but she does have enough of an effect that if you were... Like, I could see her sneaking into some sort of, like, Earth Fairy deck if you could contrive a way to, like, set her on your opponent's board and flip her right. Fairy does have the weakest stats of the Mimighouls. She's just 100, so even with the boost from Dungeon, she has a mere 200 attack. That's okay, though. Mimighoul Fairy is a card that exists to be turned into Xyz material.
Oh, thank goodness.
You are almost always going to use her to make something. Her flip effect is very simple. If it's the main phase, applies the effect in sequence. This turn, you can't activate the effects of monsters special summon from the hand. What's that? You're going to special summon a shitload of monsters to get around Mimighoul Dungeon? Fuck you, no effects.
Get out of here.
Obviously, again, doesn't do jack shit for extra deck monsters, doesn't affect monsters in the graveyard. But if your opponent just tries to special summon some guys from hand and get some effect procs, they're not gonna. Yeah. During your main phase, you can special summon your opponent's field face down, or if you control a Mimighoul, special summon this card face up to your field. So she is also your, like, most free special summon in the deck. This is another one that I would say I would probably run at 3 just because her flip effect is actually good, like, in a meta context. You know, Archfiend is a hand rip, Dragon is a board wipe. Fairy is just prevents your opponent from activating some of their monster effects, but that can also, like, really slow down their plays and give you room for the crackback. Let's put up our other one, which I'm gonna have to double check the trivia for, because I think the next one is also fairly unique.
Which one do we have? Slime?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Slime is an Earth Aqua.
Earth Aqua, yeah.
Yeah! I love silly typings.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a funny one.
Yeah,
Let's
so
see.
Earth Slime is very, very funny. Let me grab the image and throw it on board before I check the trivia.
Did they change YouTube Live?
Man, did they?
Yeah, it's got an interesting UI now.
Well, I know that
Weird.
they've announced they're planning on changing their policy on profanity. No longer will heavy swearing in the first 7 seconds demonetize your whole video.
Yippee.
But heavy swearing in general, excessive swearing.
Yeah, I assume that you're still... Specifically, if you're still going to be looking at clips of VTubers that are like two minutes long, and it's just the clip where it's all the times they swore, those guys will probably still want to censor that out just because of the density. But profanity in some video titles is not allowed.
I thought you were about to say if you're watching VTuber clips and it's that one scene from GTA 5.
Also true, but that's a really old meme.
Yep. What do you mean? No, that was only a few years ago.
It was like 5 years ago. Wasn't that during COVID?
Yeah, I know. Also, I'm sorry. This slime looks like he has too many chins.
Don't worry about it.
He's a gooey little guy. I'm not really sure what the idea is about his face. I think it is supposed to be he has a little goop beard, because he's kind of doing like a frowny face. I do love that his chest is a pot, though.
Yeah.
And you could hypothetically run what's his face? Jar of the Forbidden? Pot of the Forbidden? I forget which one he is.
Yeah, that's Pot of the Forbidden's the flip one, I think.
Yeah, the big flip boy, the very funny one. Again, not that you would if you're taking this deck seriously. Like all the sort of things that Pot of the Forbidden does, you just can play triple tack in this deck. and force your opponent to activate. But again, he's a funny little guy. Oh, the trivia page isn't updated for this. I am still pretty sure that like there are not a lot of Earth Aquas in this game. Mimighoul Slime might be the only one, or he might be one of the only ones.
Yeah, because I was about to say like Egyptian gold slime, but no, that's water.
No, that is a water aqua, I believe.
Yeah, I had to stop myself.
They have done very funny stuff with aquas. There are, several dark aquas. There are a couple fire aquas already.
Is that a wind aqua?
I'm pretty sure. I think our next big cute thing we need to do is we need some water thunders.
Yeah.
What about fire thunder?
Earth thunder.
So I'm pretty sure half the Ryziels are fire thunders. The other half are light pyros.
Guys,
Ryziel let them scratch a couple of weird combinations off their list.
I've got it. The next archetype. Earth thunder, they are all grounded. It's the grounded archetype.
That could be cute. And there are some Earth Thunders already, a couple of them. Very old.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, old ones, okay.
Yeah, very old. No modern cards. Also, I would say K9, I believe, has some very interesting matchups. Like, I believe they have, like a couple Dark Pyros and some other stuff like that. Maybe some more Dark Aquas. Why Animal People Cops? Why the Zenless Zone Zero archetype has weird combinations? I don't know. We could say it, chat.
Nah, don't do that.
There's a very hot werewolf man in K9, chat.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, Mimighoul Slime. Earth Aqua Flip. 400 attack, 500 defense. So again, only 900. Not really a lot, but that doesn't matter because this is another one of those guys who has a pretty good flip effect. If it's the main phase, applies the effect in sequence. Your opponent can special summon a Mimighoul from their deck to the field, so he lets you summon a Mimighoul from your deck to your field. Then you give control to your opponent, and during the main phase, you can summon this to your opponent's field in face-down defense position, or if they control more monsters than you, you can special summon this card face-up. So Mimighoul Slime does have the ability to extend, obviously, but also is just a very funny guy to put on your opponent's board. This can let you, summon out something like Dragon, summon out something like Archfiend to do some more flipping, or it can just put some guys on your board so you don't die. Unfortunately, the way chains work, you can't get like really funny. Like your opponent, if your opponent activates like Feather Duster, you can't go Mimighoul Master, flip Slime, summon Cerberus to protect, or if they did like a not Feather Duster, but like a targeted pop. But you could do it proactively, like if you think your opponent is building towards a pop. But this deck has a couple of Xyz monsters, both of which are pretty important. As you've seen right now, so far, you've seen Mimighoul as a control deck with some very funny tricks, blocking your opponent out of certain interactions, giving you some advantage, building, boards of blockers so your opponent has to just tediously chew through them. But like I said, they did give them a couple extra deck monsters, so they actually have some strategies, some plays. First, the giant Mimighoul. And boy, is he giant.
Oh, yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, so the giant Mimighoul is clearly going for that Gashadokuro type thing of huge skeleton.
Yeah.
Because
I was thinking that one boss from Dark Souls 3.
Giant ass arm. He's got some other stuff going on that I don't quite get. Does he have those horns that are coming out of the chest that are chained up, or does he have weird legs? Gesundheit.
No, sorry. High-Low to Warnir, that's what I'm thinking of. That one fucker.
That guy does have very big arms. I do love the effect of just, the chest is a mouth, obviously, that opens, but then it's also, he's got his eyes in there and just one big hand reaching out. He's gonna get you.
I see one eye. He's too big for the chest.
Yeah.
And the cartoonish-looking smoke clouds.
Yeah, it's got, like, one horn sticking out or something that's so big, it's, like, smashed into the ceiling above. He's a very large lad, is what we're saying.
You know what makes this for me? The tiny little ghosts at the lower middle left.
It's true.
It's just like, they're like, oh, fuck, he's free.
Oh, yeah. Like, he's got, like, little skulls dropping out. Maybe some guys he's crushed. Also, Chad did bring up there are a couple of Gem Knights that are Earth Aquas. That's right. There's a few funny Earths because of Gem Knights.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Chad.
I believe that does include some Earth Pyros and Earth Thunders as well. Basically, Gem Knights are either rocks or they're Earth. Or they're Earth rocks.
Gem Knights are the inclusive archetype, and you can take that however you will. They've got everything.
So, Giant Mimighoul is a rank 1 Earth Rock Ixie. Has 1,300 attack and 2,000 defense. Which, by the way, this does benefit from dungeon, so this guy is 33, which is quite large for a rank 1. It is completely generic. 82 level 1s will work. And remember before, Chad, how I said that you do actually often plan on OTKing your opponent in Mimighoul? Here's mostly how. Giant Mimighoul says, your non-Xyz Mimighoul monsters can attack directly while your opponent controls a face-down monster. So not even like Ghost Trick, like all monsters face-down. Just straight up, fuck you, you have a face-down, direct attack.
Oh, you could do some dumb nonsense with that.
So long as you have your opponent has a boy face down, you get to direct attack. And that means that your guys are very large. Mimighoul Master's 3K, you've got a couple of 2K attackers. So, there's definitely some room. Additionally, you can use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is Xyz summoned, add a Mimighoul card from your deck to hand. Just on summon, he's a searcher. He extends. But also, you can detach one material from this card. Target face-up cards on the field up to the number of face-down monsters your opponent controls. Destroy them. If you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent for each card. So you can also burn your opponent out.
There we go.
So ideally, if you're playing Mimighoul right, you can just give your opponent like 4 or 5 face down, detach one from Giant Mimighoul, and depending on if you either have stuff on your side of the field you're willing to blow up, or your opponent has flipped cards face up, you can dome them for 4 or 5k easily.
Yeah, just take them out. I'll wait till after we finish talking about this card, but I've got a very dumb trivia question I need to ask Omega.
Okay.
Actually, I can begin looking up now.
In general, Giant Mimighoul is a pretty important piece of the card. He is, like I said, a searcher on summon at any card, so he can grab your spell traps you're missing, he can grab monsters you're missing, so on and so forth. And its burn and pop effect is, again, one of your primary ways of interacting with your opponent. Your opponent, plays through your stuff, gives you some things. You often have some monsters left on the board. I also suspect this is why cards like Kerberos and one of the spell traps we're going to talk about later, Charm, exist. Because basically that gives you free shit from your opponent that you can blow up to fuel Giant. Just by giving you more face-up monsters you don't care about. But yeah, Giant is a pretty key part of the setup. I don't know if I'd necessarily run 3 in the extra, but I'd probably run 2 so you can recycle a little from Grave, but just so you have the ability to go into him twice. All right.
It does sound sounds like you can, like do some funny little loops and shenanigans with this fucker.
Because you are probably gonna burn through your 2 attached material, assuming your opponent doesn't either immediately die or immediately kill this guy. You're gonna burn through both detaches.
Oh yeah.
To do some pops and some burns. And like I said, obviously you can get him back from the graveyard a couple of different ways. Dungeon says,
or if you did attack with him, just go straight up to Zeus.
Yes, that's another one you can do. And I think this, by the way, is why Giant says your non-Xyz monsters attack directly, because that would make Giant Mimighoul the freest Zeus in the universe. You do still probably run the Zeus line in this deck, though, because, again, you absolutely can. And playing Master Duel, very often I have seen my opponents to try and, like, get out of the Mimighoul dungeon, like, lock effect without flipping my Mimighouls. They will tribute set their own monsters, which still obviously boxes them out of some things, but can mean that you have cards that are probably okay to attack. Oh no, you tribute set Blue Eyes White Dragon. Anyway. Okay, we're taking a little while to... Oh yeah, I got a gateway timeout error. Well, while I try and get Wikipedia back on the horn, I'm going to step away for a sec, so I will be right back.
All right.
Dear. Okay, when Omega comes back, I will ask my dumb question. Because I did some searching, and I was just thinking about Gem Knights.
Oh, boy.
Or are you trying to find funny Gem Knight typings?
No. I was looking up when Gem Knights were released, and when Steven Universe came out.
Well, Gem Knights have been out forever, haven't they?
Yes. I made the joke about inclusive Gem Knights, or Gem Knights are inclusive. I'm like, wait a second. Two things made me number 3 in chat. God damn it. Ah, my fucking nose.
Oh, we're gone fishing.
There it is. Okay, Omega said in chat.
What? Okay, that was fun.
Yes, I'm back. I think the stream is cooking along. Sorry about that. Well, I stepped away to go to the toilet. My power flicked, which meant that my router went down.
This goddamn goldfishing.
And it took it took a shocking amount of time for it to turn back on. Sorry, it's not the router's across the room. It's not plugged into an UPS.
Oh my god, you're still muted.
Right, I should.
Oh,
yeah,
that was weird. I unmuted the stream.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that. I was just explaining. Yes, when I stepped away, my power flicked, which meant the router went down.
Oh, fun!
It took a second to come back on, because it's across the room, so it's not in and ups. We are on a waiting list for a whole house generator.
So, Omega, question for you: which do you think came first out of the inclusive rock type, Gem Knights or Steven Universe?
Oh, that is a very good question.
I looked it up. The answer may surprise you.
Because I feel like... Steven Universe is actually pretty old.
Mm-hmm.
All things considered. And Gem Knight wasn't even the first dual terminal archetype.
He's thinking.
I'm thinking, yeah. When did dual terminal drop for sure?
I looked up when the Gem Knights themselves dropped, so I can, if you want a hint, I can give you that.
I mean, if you want a hint, yeah. I'll probably.
They dropped 2010 in Japan.
Well, if that is when the Gem Knights came out, I think that means that they are older.
Indeed. Normal fusion monsters came out way before. Okay, I won't say the other bit, but
funny. Very funny, at least.
I would love it if it came out that was it the creator of Steven Universe played Gem Knights and was inspired. That would be hilarious.
Wouldn't be shocked. I mean, obviously, Gem Knights were kind of nothing until I want to say the Arc V type wave.
They were just something that was
2015.
Dual terminal.
When did Miracle Fusion come out?
Miracle Fusion? That's a hero card, so that's old.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not that. Whatever the fucking Gem Knight Fusion is.
Brilliant?
It's literally called Gem Knight Fusion.
You.
Brilliant Fusion, no, that came later. That is, that was 2014 or 15, because that was part of that Arc V stuff.
What the fuck is this?
Oh, sorry, this is Mimighoul Throne. So this is what Mimighoul Master sits on. You can see his big dumb crown on it. He pops out of this.
He's even got like a little. He's even got like a little thing on top of it to actually sit on. Oh, that's silly.
And that is his hat. Yeah. So this is Mimighoul Throne. This is another. Both the Xyz are rocks. So this is another rock. It's got 0 attack, 1,000 defense. So obviously not a major attacking piece, but that's okay. This monster won't stay in your monster zone for very long. Unlike Giant, Throne is locked to Mimighouls exactly. It requires 2 level 1 Mimighoul monsters. But it says, first effect, you can detach a material from this card, special summon Mimighoul Master from your hand, deck, or graveyard. This is why you don't need to run many copies of Mimighoul Master, because basically any 2 Mimighouls is Mimighoul Master. But if you hard draw the Mimighoul Master, or you search him through other means, Throne can be better. Because Throne's other effect is, during the main phase, quick effect, target a Mimighoul Master you control, equip this card to him as an equip spell that gives him 1,000 attack, which means that if Dungeon is up, he is 4k, and even if Dungeon isn't up, he's 2,800, which is still good. Then you can return cards from the field to the hand up to the number of materials this card had. Note that is not targeting and is not a separate effect. That's part of the equip effect. You can only use each effect per turn, only once that turn. The Throne Bounce is very spicy. If you hard summon Master and have a 2-mat Throne, that is a quick effect bounce 2 that, like I said, does not target. So if your opponent doesn't realize that's what Throne's going to do, or they think that, like, I should be able to prevent this sort of interaction, I will wait for the effect to resolve. No, that's not how that works.
That's actually
negate the Throne effect. Yeah, so Giant pops, Throne bounces. Both of them can be very mean. And also, Throne, like I said, just gets Master. Just brings him to you from anywhere, except management. So, like, their Xyz monsters are very good. Again, you probably run a couple of Throne in your extra deck because, like I said before, rank 1s are very cool, but you don't really need them. The main thing you're doing with your extra deck space is just putting a couple of annoying rank 1 Xyz in there to, like, bother your opponent. Like, you play Kushichifucho, which is, like, an annoying, unoutable guy. You play a couple of Lyrilusks, because, you know, Assembled Nightingale can just put any of your level 1s under it, and then you get to go, you know, attack directly and stuff. And you can turn that into Zeus. You probably play Typhon in this deck just in case. Like, hypothetically, your monsters aren't going to be super big. You know, sort of thing. And so, you know, you can do a lot of stuff. Like I said, there's some generic links you can play. You play SP. You can play Ausa. You know, the Earth Charmer. Like I said, you might be able to play something very funny to do, like, zombie vampire stuff. But yeah, your extra deck space in this deck is not tight. One thing I've seen that was a little cute was if you've got enough material, you can try and set up Crime and Punishment, the numbers. Those guys are both rank 1s, and they have the ability to detach and force all your opponent's monsters to flip face up. So you can trigger a whole shitload of Mimighouls all at once, but that's like a side benefit. That's something you go into if they stymie your other plays, you know?
That just happens. You're just along for the ride on that one.
Yeah. Again, that's why I'm like, I'm very curious to see what the mandated OCG support for this deck is going to be when it actually, like, hits the OCG in full. Because usually they give TCG archetypes, especially archetypes that are already pretty decent, some like, really good legs. Like, Spiral was already functional before the OCG got at it, and they just went like, yeah. So, Mimighoul, probably what I would say Mimighoul needs is maybe a third extra deck guy, if you gave them, like, a Link 2. For instance, that did something, or even a Link 1. Though obviously also speaking of you know, links and stuff, you could play like a small Subterror package in this. Actually, I should do that in Master Duel. I should play fucking Fiendus. play Hand Trap Fiendus and the Link Fiendus.
Oh yeah.
Good.
You could do some funny stuff there. But yeah, there's definitely room for some improvement. And other than that, I would say probably a couple of monster names. The spell traps are a little lean in this deck, but most of them are pretty functional. We're going to start with the one that was shown as the Wave 2 supporter that was a little maligned. I think that correctly this card was seen as not super strong when it came out in the TCG. I run a Charm or two in Master Duel, and it's fine because you're not playing Oops All Snake Eyes anymore. First of all, great art on Mimighoul Charm.
That could be your Angle or your Devil.
Basically, yeah. Because it is Fairy and Archfiend. And Fairy is making some hearts to shoot at you, so watch out, everybody. But this is a continuous spell that says, once per chain, during the main phase, if a Mimighoul monster your opponent controls is flipped face up, randomly choose a face-down card in their extra deck. If it's a monster that can be special summoned, special summon it to your field. Can't activate its effects this turn. If it wasn't or couldn't be special summoned, banish that card. You use this effect twice per turn.
I mean, I don't have Nitro anymore. I would have looked for if I had a Honeybee Lovely on the soundboard.
Be very funny to throw out that out there. Yes. But yeah, so when Charm was shown off in the TCG, like I said, this was coming in the second wave of support. So this was after info. This would have been in Rage of the Abyss, yeah. Which let's see what other archetypes are hitting the TCG in Rage of the Abyss. Primite, the Allure Queen stuff, all the new Battle Wasp support, and the back half of Azamina. So yeah, no, Fire decks were still really strong. I don't think they've been hit yet. So everybody was... Basically what everybody said when they saw this was like, well, what if you summon Promethean Princess and you're locked to fires that none of this deck is? That would be bad, chat. Yes, correct. Spoilers. Hey, it turns out that if your opponent isn't running those kind of extra deck monsters that have continuous effects like Promethean Princess, where they say you can only blah, blah, blah while this card's face up on the field, Charm is a really fucking annoying card. I cannot tell you how many funny cards I have sniped out of my opponent's extra with Charm. Sometimes because they did not respect Charm, because it is once per chain. You know who hates this guy? Branded. Yes, interesting. Lovely Mirror Jade you have in your extra deck. I'll take it. Yes, I can't activate its effects this turn, but guess what? That means neither can you, bucko.
Eat shit and die.
Basically, Charm very strongly beats up any deck either that makes just generic guys, just makes generically useful extra deck monsters, or if extra deck space is tight. Mimighoul, you don't have this problem. You don't have a tight extra deck. Like I said, you literally have the room to run like 2 or 3 copies of your 2 Ixies and still have plenty of room left over to play good cards. There are other decks that basically have 15 one-ofs in their extra. So it's kind of the stuff that, like, makes Unicorn very spicy. A Kashira Unicorn, like, oh, look at your extra, bounce the most important card. Charm is random, and I do kind of wish it still was May. But I understand if they didn't want to go that far. And obviously, if the card does, for whatever reason, can't be special summoned, if you have a full board, if it's a Link monster and your EMZ is full, and like the arrows don't match, or if it's just one of those cards that says something funny like must be synchro summoned, must first be fusion summoned, etc. Can only be special summoned by blah blah blah. Banishment it goes. So getting to rip 2 cards out of your opponent's extra and either summon them to your board or put them in banish. Very funny. Is it good? Lord knows it's not good all the time. I think playing this in solo mode exemplifies why this can be bad. I usually play the SP challenges, against the anime decks because they usually have consistent strategies and some of them have hand traps. The main thing though is that half of them, their extra deck is dog shit nothing. Mako Tsunami's like Umi control deck, the extra deck is just full of like level 4 and 5 generic old school fish fusions that he can like instant fusion for materials, or mostly banish to play Extrav because every fucking opponent plays Extrav. But so like there are going to be times when your opponent just has an extra deck that's full of like funny stuff they don't need. But there are times when it can be impressive. So like I said, I think this card was a little maligned when it came out in the TCG because everybody, I think, correctly pegged that your opponent's going to be playing some type lock shit that's not going to be helpful. But you can run it as a searchable one of as kind of a win more card. Like if you build your full combo and can still search Charm, you can get to some stuff.
I will freely admit I have Promethean Princess myself in my fucking Pendulum the Arc deck before. That is not fun when you go, shit, and you forget that.
Yeah, it
that
is
one ruling.
It is a cute little gimmick, I would say. Like,
yeah.
A lot of Mimighoul just comes down to having a lot of cute gimmicks at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say, I think their only spell trip that is probably bad, or at least is, like, not worth the deck space because of how it works, is this card I've just pulled up, Mimighoul Fork. And mainly because it puts the onus of choice on your opponent, and so it's, like, one of those weird things of, like, I've tried to run it, and it basically results the same way. The art is pretty simple, but I like it. It just shows you a literal fork in the dungeon. Where do you go, Western man? Do you go through the Foucault pendulums and the spike traps, or do you step on the bear trap to open the Mimighoul chest? I think that's Dragon's chest there, because it's red and yellow.
I think
I'm going to summon using the pendulums, so that's a pendulum summon.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a Mimighoul Fork is a normal spell that says target a face-down monster your opponent controls. They choose one of the following effects. You apply that effect. Either change it to face-up attack or defense position, or send it to the graveyard. Its owner draws 2 cards. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add a fork from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effective fork once per turn. If fork just said add any Mimighoul spell trap to your hand, this would be a 3 of in every deck.
Oh, yeah.
Because it only searches more copies of fork. I know this is very strange to say, chat. This card basically just reads, send a Mimighoul to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Most people would be super enthusiastic about that, except in this deck, instead of running 3 copies of fork to draw 2 cards a bunch, what if you just ran 3 better cards? Run triple tack. That lets you draw cards. So yeah, fork is not a bad card, but because it gives the choice to your opponent, I have literally never activated this in Master Duel, both against AI and real opponents, and had them flip the monster face up basically ever. I almost always draw 2 cards off this, and it's just like, that's cool, but it also means that you didn't get your Mimighoul effect to proc, so it's like, it only gives you advantage in such a way if that card proc wasn't important, so why would you run it? Just find something better to do. Again,
it sits in a weird spot.
It's cool in concept. Like, it is kind of a callback, I think, to a lot of, like, archetypes which have, like, have their in-archetype draw 2, for cost, go +1. So it's, like, it's cute. Genuinely, I think it would be better if it said discard a Mimighoul to draw 2 cards, or send a Mimighoul from your field or hand to graveyard to draw 2. The fact that it has to be an opponent's monster face down, and again, I kind of see, like, the logic. Like I said before, sometimes people will try and out the dungeon board by, like, tribute setting their own monsters. But then, in that case, they're always going to flip it face up, which also gets you nothing. It's a weird case of, like, because your opponent picks, their advantage engine basically does nothing. So if it had been you pick one of those effects, fork would be great, because you're still technically minusing yourself if you send to draw 2, but you might also be able to force some of your Mimighoul activations, which is kind of like, I want to say that's the one thing that this deck is a little tricky about. Forcing activation of Mimighoul effects correctly is tough. Like, you have a very limited number of them you can do, so you got to manage them right. But here's one of their spell
very
traps,
precarious balancing act.
Yeah. And again, it's like I said, the deck probably doesn't not need a lot to be, like, really spicy. Like, Konami has tried several times to put some weird little flip effects in the game. So like, there's room for some stuff in here. We'll see. And like, legacy support has gotten very interesting over the past couple of years. Like, they just did a couple of brand new Nouvelle stuff, including like the other Pendulum Chef and the Angry Burger, which counts as Hungry Burger and does stuff. Like, there's some very interesting like tricks you can do. So like, we've got cooking for legacy support. Mimighoul could be very interesting. This card, though, is their spell trap that you are absolutely jam-a-slamming 3 of. There is no reason not to run 3 Mimighoul Mecha. Shout out to Master doing a sick pose here. He's
summoning your doom. That's a knight, I think. Yeah,
I think that's armor.
For armor.
And this is also...
It also looks like he threw it like a Beyblade. Or just something. He's like, here.
He might have. He's doing a thing with his hand, and he's got his staff upheld to, do the magic. This is also the card that enables you to do the very funny things with non-Mimighoul flip monsters, because what Mimighoul Maker does, this is another normal spell, it says, reveal 2 flip monsters with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly picks one for you to special summon to their field and face down defense. You add the other to your hand. Then you may special summon 1 Mimighoul from your hand. If your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Target a face-down monster your opponent controls. Choose to face up, attack, or defense position. You can use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. Maker just lets you do the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, painful choice type shit of just like, hey, I've given you 2 cards. You're randomly going to summon 1 of them. If you're starting from 0, like literally you have no cards on board yet, Maker is almost always Dragon and Archfiend. Because both of those cards are good to add and then summon. And if they get set to your opponent's field, you're not going to die. But it can be any flip monster. This is the thing that, like, you can try and give your opponent Flame Sorceress and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't like to do that because it's a little awkward if you don't hit the non-Mimighoul flip. Like, oh no, you've added Flame Sorceress to my hand, or I've added Morphing Jar to my hand. Cool. You don't have enough spare engine in this deck to do that. But it does allow you to do funny flip synergies. And obviously, there's things to talk about. This is another way that you can force a flip up of a monster if your opponent's not engaging with it. Your opponent special summons something, and you're just like, cool, anyway, I'm going to flip a guy. Flip Mimighoul Dragon. The board go boop. Or my other favorite funny one, be like, if I didn't have Fairy in rotation, it's like, oh, my opponent has special summoned a monster that adds a card to your hand. Flip Archfiend. You're gonna go +0, bud.
Fuck you.
You may add that card to your hand, but you need to discard a card. Like I said, Mimighoul's a kind of control deck that I like because there are forms of interaction that can feel a little floodgatey, and like Archfiend does technically hand rip one, but they at least get to pick. So obviously that can be they discard whatever they like least. But a lot of its control aspects are just forcing your opponent to make suboptimal choices and do funny little things. And some decks don't care. Dragon blow up the board if they have monsters that are indestructible. Whatever, they don't care. Hell, if they're playing like something like Unchained, they'll plus off that. If you set up a dragon line, a first turn before you know what your opponent's doing, and they're just like, interesting. Like, but it's all very funny. It amuses me, which is why I like this deck. It is amusing, chat. And we got one last card. They're only trap cards so far, which is another thing that's really interesting. Yes.
Honestly, yeah. No, yeah, that's kind of surprising that like this. I guess it's trying to keep the deck consolidated to the monsters, because in a way, this is them trying to I don't want to fix Ghost Tricks, quote unquote, where they're like doing it again, but like with a new idea of like,
they've
okay,
learned a lot from many of the weird flip decks they've done. Ghost Trick, I think, is one of the bigger ones where they were like, okay, so this thing with like flipping and direct attacking and stuff, okay, that works. Ghost Trick's problem was, oh shit, if your opponent makes link monsters, you can't flip those face down, so you just die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it fucks up the whole strategy. Whereas Mimighoul's response to that is just, no. You give your opponent the face-down monsters. You force them to have face-down monsters they can't use as generic link material. And if your opponent flips any of them, you get them back, so it doesn't matter. Oh, shit. I straight up got an alert from Wikipedia. We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Oh.
They've got a picture of overworked on the screen. Okay, I will grab the card art of Mimighoul Room from just Google if I can find it, hopefully. It is, in a pinch, it was the thumbnail image I used as well. But Mimighoul Room, does kind of show off some very classic stuff. You've got a couple of chests there. I think that's Dragon, Archfiend, and Cerberus. The first block of guys. There's also a bunch of generic loot in there, but it's also got Master's Sigil, which is kind of funny.
I love Cerberus's fucking claws just being there. It's like, oh man, these are cool looking gloves.
What could this mean?
Then you tug on them and the chain pops.
Whoa.
Also, honestly, with the
chain pops, I'm thinking of the fucking Grunt birthday sound effect that plays.
Yay! Also, I want to point out that the room itself has like an archway with a key in it that has teeth. So like, it's also entirely possible that just like if you do the wrong thing, the whole end of this room turns into giant Mimighoul and just eats you.
Yeah. The hallway itself is a trap.
But yeah, so Mimighoul Room is a normal trap that says special summon one Mimighoul monster from your hand or deck to your field, or in face-down defense position to your opponent's field. Then you can change one face-up monster on the field to face-down. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target any number of Mimighoul cards you control, return them to hand. You can use one effect per turn only once that turn. Room is a little slow because it is a normal trap, but is a phenomenal card. It lets you... Basically, if your opponent flips up all your Mimighouls and like turns off dungeon, you can, if you have Room, you can go, okay, Room, I'm summoning a new guy. And also, if they put a face-up monster on the board, it's Book of Moon. But also, that banish effect is really good. I said before, you probably want to run like 2 Throne and Giant so you can use their effects multiple times, but Room is another way you can get them back. Also, a great way after your opponent flips up all your monsters and control reverts to you. If you don't have any extra deck plays to make, you can just go, cool, yes. Mimighoul Room, bounce 4 Mimighouls to hand, start activating Mimighoul effects. It's a really great way to reload. Also, because that is it's a trap card, so it's kind of an inherent quick effect. You can use this to dodge interaction. If your opponent plays Lightning Storm and is or like Raigeki and is gonna blow up all your Mimighouls, you can just go, lol, no, bounce, return to hand. It's like I said, very funny form of interaction. It is, like I said earlier, like obviously, we talked about, they're trying to do this emphasis with monsters mostly. It is interesting, though, that this deck does not have any more trap support. I do kind of feel like maybe they were trying to avoid being too close to some other decks. Like, if this deck had a lot of normal traps, there might be some room that, like, you could try and run a Labyrinth package in here, which Labyrinth is obviously very strong. I don't think that's a good fit, especially with only one normal trap. Because, Labyrinth locks you to Fiends in extra deck, and both of your extra deck monsters are rocks.
Rock.
But it is still a very, very decent card to be running into. So, like I said, we'll see what the support is.
Yay.
I've really gone for about 2 hours.
We've been going a while, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's nothing compared to the fucking 6-hour monsters that the Final Fantasy MTG was. That, funnily enough, my 2 current co-hosts didn't show up to a lot of those.
After the first one, I had no energy to do another, I'll be honest.
That's fair. They were super long. We had fun, but also they were long.
You know what? I'll say response to that, Omega. Fuck you. My granddad's 90th birthday party is more important to me than Magic the Gathering. No,
that's fair.
Card.
Like, actually, I joke about it, but also, Loth, you were literally out of the country. Or
I
out
was
of your
so
country?
out of the country. I spent an hour this morning trying to solve my rent because I didn't work for 2 weeks, so I have no work money, and since I was out of the country, the welfare payment said, "Hey, we're not paying you." So I had to quickly try to sort that out.
God, that sucks. But yeah, no, like it was a super long one. The videos did very well, but yeah, they're kind of out there. Let's see. I'm trying to think. If we wanted to, was there anything we would want to... We could bring up Mitsurugi. Those are also a slimline.
Because aren't they releasing more of that eventually? Like, I'd say wait, maybe.
I mean, no, they did their 2 waves of support.
Oh, they got 2 waves of support?
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I want to see if you were lucky enough for Dark Tide.
That's fair. That's fair. It is storming a little. We are after 9, so we're not crazy bad. We can wrap up a little. You know, to go through an outro spiel. Sorry, there's a bug in my room, and I have absolutely no idea where the fuck he came from.
How'd you get here?
We insist that the ventilation is sealed, so it can't, you know, there's a HEPA filter, so it can't come in through the air vents. But then I'm like, where the fuck did this fly come from? My window has a new screen. I'm pretty sure that's not it. Anyway, like I said, Justice Hunters will be street legal starting basically next week in a couple of days. So we'll probably run through those and then maybe find some time for some cubes. I do actually have a cube that I'll have to double check it because it's been a while. We were in the FF project a little too long, but you know, the views were good. People watched it. But I did have a cube prepped beforehand, and I got to double check everything. But that was also just world premiere cards, like the Mimighouls and some other stuff that's been released. So that could be a cute one to run. And I will be resuming next month, running another poll of our best of the worst, because we still have some archetypes that have never, ever been picked for Fail Portrayal. We finally did the Gimmick Puppet episode last week. Dallas, in fact, showed up for it. So we got to talk about that. So, you know, expect a few more memes to be defeateased. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and scooch on out of here, chat. We won't keep you too long. Thanks for watching the video. Sorry about the tech stuff. Like I said, literal act of God. Currently beyond my control. Like I said, we're on the waiting list for a whole house generator, which should be automatic flip over, which would hopefully prevent some of these like longer term problems of you know, continuous power loss. And if it doesn't, I can always invest in more battery backups. Which means, hey, it's great if you support the channel. Not only should you like, comment, and subscribe, but also consider a channel membership or a super chat or supporting us on Patreon, where you can access some additional Fail Portrayal content. So that I can buy more newer battery backups, because batteries don't last forever, chat. I'm sorry. It sucks, I know. I've had to buy several uninterruptible power supplies in my time, and they last a couple of years and then they stop because they're basically constantly in use. But with all that, we'll scoot on out of here. Thanks for talking about this. Like I said, I have a lot of fun with Mimighoul. I've been playing it in Master Duel. It's a very cool little deck to check out there. I don't know if it will be, you know, cutting edge ever in the TCG, but like I said, expect sometime in the next couple of months the OCG to take a crack at it, to be released in that World Premiere pack. And that almost always comes with 1 or 2 support cards stapled on, usually, which are pretty good. It is interesting that, for instance, with like Ashen and Tistina, they really didn't try for a while. They did eventually come out with support cards that were like decent, but still not super good. Honestly, same with the Flame Swordsman card they came up with. So it's not a guarantee anymore, but Mimighoul is a lot more functional than, definitely than Ashen and Tistina, and probably more functional than Flame Swordsman. Flame Swordsman's a very funny deck that's very good at OTKing, but is very weird to play if you're not OTKing. And if you're interested in Justice Hunter stuff, I'll do a little cross-promotion. Jaxel the Curry Bandits posted his everything you need to know about Justice Hunters because it's a deck build archetype. It's only like 15 minutes long.
Oh, sounds fun.
Yes, it's a very good time. I've started watching his everything you need to know videos over the past few months because they're very good. They're very tightly edited. They're also very funny, but also they are actually informative because usually he will read a bunch of cards to you and then explain, hey, here's what this thing does. And then also will follow up with the opinion of usually, by the way, this doesn't do anything. Unfortunately, there are still many Yu-Gi-Oh cards that do that. But yeah. What's the word? Canine, Draco Tail, and Yummy. So be excited, everybody, for the upcoming month of Fail the Portrayal.
Yummy.
And tune in tomorrow for Final Fantasy XIV. We've got like a week before the patch drops, so we're gonna have to play a lot of PvP.
You guys have fun with that.
Yeah.
I am so far behind.
It's okay. We catch up together. All right. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks for listening. And
Have a good one,
everyone.
everyone.